I'm 81 years old now. I was born in 1935, December 3rd, in Yakima, Washington, at St. Elizabeth's Hospital, and lived on Cherry Avenue in Yakima. My father owned 2 properties there. While we lived on Cherry Avenue, it was World War II. And I remember my father would have to don his helmet, and we had to black out the house, and to walk the streets with a flashlight. And I don't know what he was looking for or protecting us from, but we all knew he was out there protecting us. He was a neighborhood captain, I know, of some sort, that, and I don't know how often, the sirens would go off in the town to let us know when we had a blackout.
Okay.
You'd hear sirens all over.
Okay. And what was his real name?
Ellis Lafayette Whitaker.
And where was Pop born and raised?
Vancouver, Washington.
Okay. And what year was Pop born?
I believe it was 1902.
Okay. And Pop graduated from Washington State University.
He did, on a full scholarship, wrestling scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
The only one in his family to go to college.
And he graduated with a degree in
food chemistry.
And so what did he actually do at the Del Monte plant?
Well, he rose to assistant superintendent, and that job entailed running the plant during packing season at night, and he did all the hiring, I think a lot of hiring, and controlled the foremans, and he hired his younger brother who had polio and was extremely crippled. He gave him one of his houses on Cherry Avenue, and he kept him employed all the years he was alive. His younger brother was, I forget how many years younger than Dad. Maybe 10 years, 6 years maybe.
And what year did he graduate from college?
My dad, let's see.
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Okay.
In the 20s.
So, and then your mother had a very interesting history.
Oh my goodness. That would take the whole video to go into my mother's history.
You can just do a rundown, a real quick one. So,
my mother was one of 11 living children, and
her name was?
Evelyn Melissa Hurst was her name.
And we called her Meme.
Yeah, my children nicknamed her Meme. And she was the middle, I believe, of the pack. And the father joined the Communist Party. He was a farmer trying to support these children, and he joined the Communist Party, and they threw him into jail.
How did Pop and Meme meet?
Dance floor.
In Yakima,
at a public dance floor in Portland, Oregon. They were both dancers. They were wonderful ballroom dancers, and they were both with friends at a ballroom in Portland, where my mother was raised, and
that was another thing I guess we didn't say. When your grandfather on your mother's side went to prison, the 11 kids had to go to foster homes.
Yes.
And so all their hearts were broken, and then they reunited later in life.
Yes. Later, when they were all married and divorced and remarried and had some children. Mm-hmm. And they would meet, oh goodness, a couple of times a month, because they all lived pretty much around the Portland, well, in Oregon.
And the only ones that I remember was Claude. I remember Claude, and then Lucy.
Uh-huh.
And those were the only two that I really remember. I don't remember any of Meme's other brothers or sisters.
She had 2 older brothers, and they did not live in Oregon. They lived back east somewhere. And they all had bad cases of asthma. It ran through my mother's family.
Did Meme have asthma?
No.
And then when did you move back to Yakima?
My first year of high school. In 1951.
Okay.
I was a sophomore at Yakima High. And I remember my father saying, "You're a little on the chubby side. If you want to date, you better lose some weight." So I remember losing 28 pounds before I started high school. And that was the best thing I ever did. And I just dated all kinds of guys and was able to gather together a group of young girls, and we ran for the rally squad, and I ran for offices in every class and got very involved in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had idyllic years in high school. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. At 5, you went to Salem, Oregon, basically did grade school and middle school in Salem, and then moved back in 1951 to Yakima, and it was just called Yakima High School then, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
One high school.
Mm-hmm. And what year did you graduate?
1954.
And then when did you marry your husband?
1957.
Okay. And how old were you when you married him?
21 and a half.
Okay. And Dad was also 21?
22.
So he was in a class ahead of you?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then essentially you lived in Yakima for from there on out until what? You moved to Bothell, Washington, or Mill Creek, Washington, and
Seattle, and then Mill Creek.
Oh, that's right. You moved to Edmonds first.
Well, we moved to downtown Seattle first.
Oh, that's right. West Seattle. You were on West Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that. That was an awesome place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
So then you went from West Seattle to Edmonds, and you had a pretty cool place in Edmonds too. I remember. And then,
We had a rental house.
Right. And then you bought the house in Mill Creek.
Well, we lived in that rental house for just a few months, and then the owners moved back. She lost her job in California, so she moved back, and we had to move again. So we moved to Woodway, Washington, and rented a house that was really too small.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, we did, in the middle of the woods.
Okay.
And then a month after we moved in there, we found the house we bought in Mill Creek.
Okay.
So we stayed in there for 2 months while we remodeled the house.
Gotcha. And then you moved to another house in Mill Creek.
Yeah.
And then you moved back to Yakima, what year?
2006.
That's about all the questions that I have, Mother.
Okay.
So if you'd like to add something, here's a good time to do it. Other than that, we can say adieu.
Well, I don't know of anything else. Lori would have to write out some questions for the next one, I think.
I think Lori is fine with what we got right here.
Okay. Signing off. Bye-bye.